Hello everyone, this is Sandra from the Cherry Heart podcast, and I'm here today with the second part of my tutorial on the daisy puff hexagons. And today I'm going to show you how I join the hexagons as I go. If you would like to see the first part of the video or download the pattern for this project, I will put the links for that in the down bar below, and I'll also put the yarn, details of the yarn I'm using, and any other useful information I can think of I shall pop in the down bar below. So if you just click that, you should be able to find everything you need there. So this way of joining that I've come up with, I'm calling a modular join. So it's a join as you go technique, as I said, and it's also a crochet through the back loop method of joining. So basically for the first hexagon, I just make a normal hexagon and I've woven in all the ends in the normal way. And then the second one I'm going to join is going to be this peachy one. So I've completed the last round as normal, but I have left my yarn attached. So once you've made your first hexagon, you'll need to leave your yarn attached once you've completed your other hexagons so that you can use this to join. I'm based in the UK, so I usually use UK crochet terms, but I'll try to remember to translate as I go along, and I'll also pop the terms somewhere on the screen for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's our second hexagon. I've made the slip stitch there to complete the round, and now I'm just going to make a slip stitch into this corner space. And then I'm just going to move the working loop to the back of the yarn. So I've taken the hook out, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to pull that hook through. Oop, I've made a bit of a mess of it. There we go. So then I'm simply going to use this yarn, now it's here, to crochet two sides together. So our first join is really easy, it's only going to be along one side. So I'll work into the spaces first, and I'm just going to do a UK double crochet, so that's a US single crochet to join these together. So I've put the hook in, I've yarned over to pull through, and yarn over again to make the double crochet. And I'm just going to do that in the same way, working along each stitch and working into both as I go. So this first one is a little tricky to work into because it's the starting chain, but if you can just push your hook through where that starting chain is going to go, and then find your first stitch on the hexagon you're joining to. There we go, I've got my hook through both of those. So yarn over and pull through, and yarn over to make the double crochet. So it's as easy as that, so I'll work my way along the row, just making sure my hook goes into both of those crochet stitches on each hexagon. I prefer to go under both loops of each hexagon as I do my crochet from the back join, but you could just do the back loops if you prefer. So there we go, and I finish with a crochet into the corner space as well. So that's it for this one. So I'm going to cut the yarn now that I've made the join. I'm just going to join another one in this side in the same way, just joining along this edge, and that's how you'd make your first row. Just keep joining them along consecutively. So here's my next hexagon ready to go. I've made a slip stitch into the corner space already and just moved that loop to the back, and now I'm going to join it onto this second hexagon. So I'm just going to place it on top like that, so it's always right sides together, and then I can work into the corner space of both hexagons and start joining. So here's our little row of 3 hexagons. So now I'm going to join this third hexagon in here, and I'm going to need to join it along 2 sides. So I'll show you how I do that. So I've pulled my loop I've made the slip stitch into the corner space and I've pulled my loop to the back ready to go. And then I'm going to start working along these edges like this from the place where the loop is. So you'll always work the opposite way to the way you made your crochet shape. So then just flip it over so you've got right sides together, and then you can see that's the first edge you'll be working along. So exactly the same as the other join, I start with a hook into the corner space and into the corner space of the second hexagon, and I do a double crochet or a US single crochet to join those together, and then I start working through the stitches, getting into that awkward first one and then matching up with the first one on the second hexagon, and just work my way along each of those stitches in turn. If you need any help with the actual crochet stitches, I'm assuming probably not if you've got to this stage and got some motifs to join, but I do have a crochet site, tutorial site with photos showing how to make the stitches, so I'll link that down below as well. So I'm going to make a stitch into the corner space even though it's already got a join in there, so I'm going to make that. And then to neaten up the back so we don't have a lot of edges everywhere, I'm just going to make a little slip stitch into the end of our join. So here's my row of double crochets that I've used to join the two together, and I'm just going to pop my hook into that last crochet of the join, just make a slip stitch, and that neatens the joins up at the back nicely. And now we can start joining along that second edge. So we'll move the first one out of the way, the first hexagon I joined to out of the way. So I'm going to go into the same corner space again. So I've done the join to the blue hexagon there, the corner space of the blue and the corner space of this reddy peach hexagon there. I've made my slip stitch into the join, and now I'm going to go into that same space of the reddy peach square hexagon, sorry, and then into the space of the peach one, and then we're lined up to make the rest of the join. So I'm working into the first stitch of this side on this hexagon and on the one I'm joining to. So that's the only thing to remember there, is to remember when you're working into the space, you're working to this space twice of the hexagon you're joining, but the ones that are already joined, you'll only work into one. So one into that one, slip stitch to the join, and then one into the next hexagon. So I'll carry on working my way along here. I've finished with a stitch into the corner space, and I'll cut the yarn. So one of the reasons I also like this joining method, so join as I go, is it cuts down on the number of ends to weave in. So because this was the end I had from my last round, normally I would cut that and have to weave it in, and I would then need more yarn to make the joins and then weave those in. So I quite like this method in that it reduces the ends nicely. So there we go, we have our next row forming. So next along from this, we're going to join on three sides. And it's exactly the same as you would do with the two sides, but I'll just talk you through it as well. But literally, you just go along each side, making a little slip stitch into the join as you come to it. Right, so I have another hexagon ready to go here. So I'm going to pop this into the space. So I've left my loop in the middle here, so that's not going to work. So again, remember, if you make your hexagons in this way, you'll be joining in the opposite way. So you just need to move that loop round to the end of the join, and then you can see you've got a clear path to follow it all the way round. So I already have my, oh no, I don't have my loop at the back, so I'm going to move my loop to the back of the work, and then I can just line that up along there, and I'm ready to follow our line around. So 1 double crochet or US single crochet into each stitch and 1 into the corner. Then I'm going to work into the join again on the back here, just to neaten these edges up. So there's my crochet join. I've got an end for this one, and I'm just going to get under, bring it up nice and close so hopefully you can see clearly. I'm just going to get it under that last crochet stitch there, and just slip stitch to pull the yarn through, just to pull those joins together neatly. So now I'm finished the join, the first side of the join. Now I'm going to move on and start joining to the next hexagon. So I'll pop them right sides together again, and I'm going to start in that space again. So I'm doing my second stitch into the pink hexagon, but it will just be my first one into this peachy one. So each corner space will end up with 2 stitches in it, 2 joining stitches in it. Let's go along this edge. Right, so we've reached the end of our second join there, and now I'm going to make the slip stitch into that little join ridge between these 2 hexagons. So again, I'm going to just get under that last stitch there, that joining ridge, and just make a slip stitch into that, pull it up nice and snug, and now I can work my last hexagon join. So the other reason I like using this join is it means that you've always got a yarn to make the join that matches in with the hexagons. So rather than having to take another colour along to perhaps join a row of hexagons together, this way I can always make sure it blends in nicely with whatever motif colour I've used. And it makes the join nice and invisible from the front. There we go, so in each one you can see the pink just blends into the pink edge of that hexagon, and so on with all the other joins, so it makes it really hard, you know, it makes it a really nice, neat way of joining them together. So that's the basic way it works, and you can just keep carrying on joining them in rows until you have a whole blanket. So where you want to make the edge, you'll need to put a half hexagon here. So I like to just put the full hexagons on first. So I would make a 1 join there and then join another hexagon here. And then I would fill in the half hexagons afterwards. And I would also fill in the filler hexagons afterwards in here. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, if you could give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you'd like to subscribe for more content, I have podcasts, quiet moment vlogs, and sometimes more tutorials. Thanks for watching.